Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV, and welcome to a pretty breaking video, a pretty disappointing video for me personally, and I'm sure for a few other people as well. But it's looking like Sarri's job is really on the line. It's looking like he's not going to be here very soon. I've got some things to tell you guys. After that, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on everything. It's not really a video I should be asking lights for, to be honest. So let's get straight into things, starting with some of the news regarding Sarri. Now, from what I've been hearing, Sarri was going to get sacked after that defeat to Man United in the FA Cup. The only reason the club didn't sack him in the end was because they were thinking, well, actually, we just remembered we've got a cup game in 6 days against Man City. It's not going to really make any type of sense to sack the manager before that game. So Sarri has a new deadline currently, and that is if he fails against Man City, from what I've been hearing, he is going to be out of a job and Chelsea are going to sack him. Now, reports have been coming out from Sky Sports and actually, I shouldn't be saying Sky Sports. It's been coming out from Italy and Sky Sports are reporting on it. And of course, there are reports that Roma are particularly interested in Sarri, and that, Roma are actually considering hiring him to replace Di Francesco for next summer. I think that at the time this report's coming, it makes it more valid for me, in my opinion. With Sarri, it's looking like if he doesn't get that result against Man City, he's going to be out of a job pretty soon. Now, I'm not too sure about the financial side in regards to, if we sack him, how much we're going to pay. I think it's going to be 5 million, so it's not going to cost us that much. But a pretty interesting question now is that, what does this mean for the replacement? Now, I can tell you guys that we're not going to be looking to sign a big manager to replace Sarri. It's only going to be an interim manager. Now, when it comes to the candidates, there's two very notable ones that I've heard of. Now, that's not considering if you guys are wondering that. I can't say the name of one of them, but obviously he's had previous ties at Chelsea being part of the coaching squads. So he's one option. The other option is Steve, and I'm sure you guys can guess what his last name is going to be. And the most interesting point I heard, now I'm not confirming this, the source said to me too that, this is a bit of a rumour, but it's looking like potentially John Terry could come as his assistant manager if Sarri and Zola do go. So that is interesting, and it's going to make it easier for me when I give my thoughts and opinions on this story later on. I've been told that, Chelsea have been looking at him. There have been talks with the... I'm not really going to talk too much about that. Now, just remember, these are two targets. I haven't said anything about them being the direct candidates to replace Sarri, so I don't want any of that nonsense in the comment section, but they are front runners. And that's the news that I have for you guys so far. Hopefully over the next few days or even weeks, I can provide more context in regards to what's happening. So it is going to be an interesting time, but for this part of the video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts and opinions. Now, don't expect me to talk too much about, why Chelsea want to sack Sarri right now. I don't have all the information on that. That's why I didn't really discuss that in the news section. But I think I have to really do that in a separate video, really give my thoughts and opinions on why I think maybe Sarri could potentially be sacked and why the club are losing faith in his vision for the future. Could the board be frustrated that he isn't using Hudson-Odoi as much? I did tell you guys beforehand that the club have been actively trying to encourage Sarri to start using Hudson-Odoi more, and Sarri isn't doing that. Now, if you want to hear a lot of my thoughts and opinions and context, I suggest that you do watch a live stream that I did do with Alex Goldberg from the Byline and with Joe Tweedy as well. It's going to be somewhere in the card above because, we really get into the nitty gritty, we really delve into things, and I think that this could be a pretty interesting video for some of you. Still though, when it comes to Steve as a potential candidate to replace Sarri, that's a really interesting one. I think that, if you're bringing in John Terry as his potential assistant manager, you're instantly winning the whole fans over and the crowd. And I think that if you're Chelsea, if you're sacking a manager like Sarri, so close to the end of the season, you really have to give the fans some confidence that, we have ambitions for the future. We want to step into the right direction. If you're bringing back, club legend leader John Terry, everyone's going to be happy, including me. It's getting to that point too now where youth is a massive issue, where managers aren't creating roadblocks or paths into the first team. And, you know, if you've been watching live streams that I've done with guys like Joe Tweedy and Alex before in the past, we've discussed a lot of times that we need that middleman between the manager and between the squads to be that guy to help introduce some young players into the team. And I think with John Terry's introduction, we know he's a massive advocate for everything youth. I mean, he attends games, constantly speaks to the players. The amount of stories I've heard of all the kind of things that John Terry's done for youth players at Chelsea. I mean, this is why the guy is Mr. Chelsea, in my opinion. And I'm thinking, if you've got two guys like this in, and you're Hudson-Odoi, if you're Reece James, if you're considering your future, if you're guys like Mason Mount, you get a renewed sense of confidence that, wow, things could be looking better for the future. Things might be looking fairer. For me, if this is the direction we go into, where we are going to bring back guys like Terry, and if he's going to be the stepping stone for us to potentially see guys like Jody Morris and Frank Lampard back at the club, and with a lot of ex-players coming back as well, I mean, that's always been my dream. I've always wanted to see the ex-legends, the ex-pros coming back to have these senior positions at the club, similar to how Bayern Munich are run. That's always been how I've envisioned the club being in the future, and I think that this could be a great introduction to kickstart that. Still though, I do have a lot of sympathy for Sarri. Of course, even though I have the sympathies, we can't get over the fact that I feel like he's been picking the wrong battles. I feel like maybe he's been way too stubborn in regards to team selection. I don't think there's anything wrong with the system. I've been saying that for time. But one thing all of us comment and complain about is the fact that it's the execution. It's the fact that we don't see certain personnel playing in the team. We've seen players that are failing week in, week out, consistently getting the game time. And Sarri's not doing anything new from that aspect. Now, again, as I said, I'm going to be diving into this in the future. There's a ton of context of things. You guys know I don't like to simplify things. So if you guys enjoy context and you want to get a deeper picture of how things ended up this way for Sarri, you know, the issues that he faced, the issues that squad faced as well, I suggest that you do wait for those videos to come. But, you know, it does continue this Chelsea thing of sacking managers all the time. And there do have to be fair questions asked in regards to, you know, how this club treats managers. I mean, I keep saying it all the time. We don't ever fully commit. And it seems to be like this curse of attacking football at the club, because whenever we go for these progressive managers like AVB back in the day, where we gave this guy an impossible mission to do. I mean, and on top of that, he had his own type of like mental weaknesses in the sense that he was way too cocky and way too arrogant, and you know, it really rubbed a lot of people off the wrong way. It seems that as Sarri faced adversity, that maybe the pressure got way too much for him, you know, making a lot of decisions that were too headstrong and, you know, done, you know, when he was feeling emotional. And I don't know if he really fairly assessed things as they're happening. At this point, for a lot of us, there is no excuse that Hudson-Odoi isn't getting game time or isn't playing enough. But still, what can Sarri really do? He's kind of given that impossible task in an impossible situation. I mean, even if he was to change the tactics and he played a bit more defensively, because when people, for me, keep talking about plan Bs all the time, what plan B can you do with the squad? As I said beforehand, you know, this team have played defensive football under Mourinho, that counter-attack under Conte, and now possession football. Yes, of course, they won titles with them, but it wasn't sustainable, and literally the season after success, everything fell down. It keeps happening all the time. For me, the main issue is the board. It's a lack of a clear direction when it comes to player recruitment. I think that when Mourinho got sacked, I really think he messed up a lot of things that the club were working on and were planning for the future. I mean, you know, the introduction of the loan army, you know, scouting the Belgian market to sign all the top talent there, and, you know, really signing a lot of great young players as well. Unfortunately, at the time, you know, these guys were working under a manager, Mourinho, where I don't know what happened to him. Because at the start, we were seeing nice, clear, fluid football. In the end, I don't know what Mourinho did. But there seems to be this thing where this club like breaks managers' psyches or something. Where they first come in, cool, calm and collected. And then they leave just looking completely opposite to what they were. But as I was touching on before, even if Sarri did make these changes, is this squad good enough to really implement them? Is that going to change our fate? Is that going to get us into the top four? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I mean, the only way I can see us really having a fair chance at getting back into the top four is by playing defensive football, and that's not Sarri. He's not going to do that. And if he did do that, what are the squad going to think? You know, the guy has no faith in his tactics or his system. It's not going to work. So, I mean, he's really been given that impossible situation. And for me, the only way that Sarri would be able to fix that and overcome that was if he got another season where, you know, the recruitment was better, or the recruitment involved signing players with attributes tailor-made for the system, which is the most important thing, because again, it's another time we've signed an attacking manager and giving them the ingredients that they can't really do anything with. For me personally, as I've been saying quite a lot of times, I think it's down to the fact that maybe Sarri overestimated what he could do with the squad and what he could do with the team. And I think that it came back to haunt him, once teams started to use a mid-block tactic, and they found us out because, they basically exploited the deficiencies in the players in the team, not the system. Everything went downhill. And this is why I keep saying that it's the squad. And I think that whoever comes in, they need to either get the backing, which isn't going to happen because we're not going to spend 300 million in the market. But the one solution is to, for once, rely on the academy, rely on the loan army. And if that's going to be guys like Terry coming back or Lampard and Morris in the future, which I'd be hoping for, they're the only two guys I want to see come back, because this is the only direction we can go down to if we do want to become a big team. I mean, we have to understand the realities as fans. And for me, I'm the biggest culprit of this, of really overestimating and gassing up this club. I mean, with how we're being run, with the players we have, we're not an amazing team. We're not an amazing club right now. And if we want to get back to the level of being one of the best in Europe, we need to do it the right way. If we're not going to believe in Sarri's process, we need to find a process to believe in. And hopefully that process is going to come from an ex-Chelsea player. And I think that if that is the case, we have to be patient and plan for the future. I don't understand this thing where we think that with this squads we can win things, we can win the Champions League, we can get into Europe easily. We can't, as we're finding out, because they're at their limit right now. And as I said, because we're not going to spend millions in the market, we're not going to attract the best players in Europe. What's the only way we can progress into the future? That's to take our time, and that's to rely on the youth and the players we have. It could work so beautifully. Sarri coming in, yes, he's introduced a new style of football, but, this is the progression we need to go down to. This is the only way we can do things. And we don't even know the outcome yet on this potential transfer ban and how that's going to affect us. There's never been a time right now to rely on the academy, to rely on the loan army players. And hopefully that's going to be guys like Terry, Lampard and Morris that lead us into that future. You guys, as I said, expect a lot more videos to come out in the next few days and over the next few weeks. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens tonight. Let's see what happens against Man City. Sarri can make something happen. But we have to see a reaction from today. We have to see that he is willing to change. He must know now that the club are actively preparing for a future without him. He must know that right now. He's got 2 games. 2 games left to make something happen. Starts tonight. Let's see if he's going to do that. But you guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to keep it moving. And I'll see you guys tonight for the match review.